So we didn't really do a full presentation or anything. We thought we'd just come on, introduce ourselves, and I thought I'd let George and Renee tell you a bit about their experience at EY, what they do, why they love what they do, and a bit of background and context, and then we'll leave the second half of the preso just open for Q&A if you do have anything. But hi everyone, my name is Marion. I am the campus recruiter at EY, looking after tax, people advisory services and consulting as well. I'll get Renee and George, you guys can intro yourself.
Kia ora. So I can see that we don't have that many people on, which is great because it actually means we can do a bit of whakawhanaungatanga. So myself and George will introduce ourselves, and then what would be really cool is if our attendees can pop off mute, and if you want to turn your camera on as well and introduce yourselves. Even if you're here supporting on the TupuToa side, it's always good to keep those relationships going. So kia ora, ko nei tuku ingoa, no Pōtiki hau, ko Ngāti Rauka, me Ngāti Toa, me te Atiawa, me te whakatohia, me te whanua nui o Kuiwi, kei te whanganui a tāre e noho ana, kei iwai tahi me SAT Infrastructure Advisory a hau e mahi ana. So kia ora everyone, my name's Renee. I was born in a Pōtiki up on the East Coast, but I grew up here near Wellington, an hour north of Wellington on the Kapiti Coast. I base here on Te Whanganui Aotearoa in Wellington, and I work for two teams here at EY. So the first team that I work for alongside George and others is EY Tahi. So we are a specialist Māori sector consultancy. Our kaupapa is Hapai Tia Tiawi Māori, Kia Pōwaia Pitomata, which we loosely translate as accelerating Māori success. But what it's really about is how can we uplift our people, how can we use our skills and abilities to enable them to grow and flourish and to really thrive as we move forward into the future. So that's the first half of my mahi. And then the other team that I sit in is infrastructure advisory. So we look at how can we build things like hospitals, roads, tunnels, ferry routes, how can we build them in a way that benefits the people and the communities that surround them? So particularly looking at the social infrastructure side and thinking about what do communities need and how can we build our infrastructure to really benefit them and create great outcomes for, I guess, their life experience and the way that they're able to interact and access infrastructure throughout New Zealand. So that's the other half, closely related, always driving on that kaupapa of improving outcomes for Māori. So yeah, that's me, and I will pass the rako to George.
Kia ora te whānau, ni sa bula, mo le lele, ta lofa, kia orana. Ko ai au, here ahau no Ngāti Kahungunu ki te taunga, control mohi ahau. So my name's George. I am about a month into my stint at EY. So you've getting two ends of the stick today with me and Renee. But yeah, so my whānau will come from the Hawke's Bay. My mother, my flaxmere, Hastings Taradale, but I actually grew up all around the Motu. I ended up in Taranaki. I'm currently working in Wellington, and Renee's explained basically the two aspects of my new work that I'm learning more about, explained it really well. But before that, I studied law and Māori studies down in Otago, and then clerked a little bit for Chapman Tripp, and then decided that wasn't quite me. So I moved into the Royal Commission of Inquiry into Abuse and Care for the last 2 years. So working with some of our survivors who've been through state care, some of our whānau, particularly some of our gang whānau in prisons. So helping them tell their story and working towards getting some outcomes for them. And yeah, happy, really excited to be here and also share my experiences, probably more from the perspective of someone new who started here and decided to come to EY and explore other spaces where I can give back to our people and our whānau. So kia ora.
Thanks, George. I'll just go across the screen as I see it. I'm really keen to get to know you guys on the call as well. So we'll start with Grant.
Hey Renee, while our students are doing that, do you want to talk, because you joined EY as a grad, do you want to talk, I guess, a little bit about what you did at uni, why you chose EY, because I know that you would have done a lot of research into what we do. So just a bit about your experience being a grad as well.
Yeah, sure. So I joined EY in November 2020. I actually started as an intern and then rolled into a graduate role. But before I was at EY, I was down at Otago with George, and I did a double degree law and politics. So I wasn't really sure what mahi I wanted to do, and I sort of grew up quite disconnected from my whakapapa. So my parents are really disconnected from their whakapapa and didn't really grow up embedded in Te Ao Māori. So I grew up that same way, and it wasn't until I came to university, and particularly when I did law, that I connected in with Whaiputaki, our Māori Law Students Association, and met lots of awesome Māori who were doing really, really cool things, and got exposed to a lot of Māori lawyers who are also doing cool things for their people. And so being able to see people doing mahi that was really purpose driven, that was about giving back to the communities and the environments that they came from, really resonated with me. And it sort of kickstarted me on this journey of reconnecting both with whakapapa, but also with reo Māori and tikanga Māori and all those aspects of Te Ao Māori that I hadn't necessarily grown up with. So I spent my time at university doing my law degree, and then also starting on that reconnection journey. And then while I was there, I was a TupuToa intern as well. So I went through TupuToa and I interned at the Department of Corrections. I know that quite a few people go through there now, which is super cool. And that was really interesting for me. It was my first, I guess, entry into the corporate environment. Like, my parents don't work corporate. None of my whānau works corporate. I had no idea what I was kind of stepping into. And so it was very overwhelming to walk into it, but it was great to have TupuToa help me through that, because they were there to support me and kind of help me understand what to expect and how to navigate that space. So I did one internship at Corrections, and then I also returned to do another internship at Corrections. And I think this was cool as well, because it helped me connect and align with my purpose of being able to uplift my people. As I'm sure you guys know, there's a significant overrepresentation of Māori and similarly of Pasifika within the correction system. So being able to work on mahi that was about how we can reduce the number of Māori in Pasifika in prison was really important for me. While I was there, I met some iwi tahi staff. So a lot of what we do here at iwi, or all of what we do, is that we go into other organisations and we support them to deliver on their kaupapa. And so teams from iwi and iwi tahi were at Corrections at the time, helping them deliver a new Māori focused strategy. So I met them there, and they encouraged me to apply for iwi. They supported me through that process. And I think the key thing that was really important was because I was able to connect with them, they were able to connect me into the business. I know a lot of Māori in Pasifika face difficulties finding jobs. I didn't have a job in my final year of uni until November, and there's all the stress and pressure around it. And so if you can find other Māori in Pasifika who can help support you as you're looking for roles, or as you're deciding what you actually want to do post-university, you can kind of have a chat to them. That's super helpful. So that's what I was able to do with the EY people. I in the end decided that I wanted to come to EY and do this mahi here. I'm really passionate about it and I really enjoy it. But I would encourage you here to reach out to me, reach out to George, add us on LinkedIn, flick us a message, and we can have a bit more of a kōrero, I guess, about what it's like to be Māori in Pasifika in this space and what opportunities might be out there for you.
That's such a great overview of your experience, Renee. Thank you so much. And George, why did you choose to move over to EY?
Yeah, I mean, tuatahi, me totoko, kōrero o Renee, definitely very similar reasons that brought us to EY, albeit on different timelines. So I think after 2 years of, I guess, so to speak, working on the front lines with our whānau, so, going in, meeting with them, supporting them through this process of sharing their story of abuse or their life of struggle, really, I found that really fulfilling, and kind of came from uni, like Renee said, just being kaupapa driven, wanting to feel like you're giving back to your people in whatever space that is. With the inquiry wrapping up, I was looking ahead already, and also kind of keen to start working in, I guess, spaces where we could influence change at a bigger level for our people. So like Renee says, EY is working with all these different agencies, all these different, I guess, big players in New Zealand scene that can influence so much change. And so to be part of or help be that Māori voice at the table, that Māori perspective, make sure they're in the room when these decisions are being made and helping guide those, I think is really important and was a really awesome opportunity. And at the same time, still ticking that box of giving back to our people. And I think the most important thing from that is there's so many different spaces where we can be doing that. EY is one of them, but that's not the only space. And so I think if that sounds like you, that you are driven by, giving back in whatever way that looks like, it's important to cast your eye wide and know that, there's not the narrow kind of set of opportunities for us to be giving back. Also, the iwi tahi culture seemed awesome from the people I knew. So yeah, that was a really big driving factor for me.
That gives a really great insight. I guess we've got really two people with very different, well, similar pathways, but come from different backgrounds a little bit. With both of you, I'm sure you'll both be looking at applications for interns and grads, getting into that for iwi tahi. What would you say is your biggest tip to anyone on the call today?
I think, so obviously iwi tahi takes Māori applicants, but there's also lots of opportunity at EY for Pasifika applicants too. If you are Māori, but you don't want to be part of iwi tahi, that's sweet as well. You can jump into any team that you like here. I think the biggest tip that I would have is to lead with your culture first. So what's really important about our Māori and Pasifika applicants is they bring a view and a perspective that's very different to a lot of other staff or other applicants that we get. I know EY is known to be just a really classic accounting firm, and that we do lots of auditing, like Audit NZ, who was on before us, and we do that. But we do lots of purpose-driven mahi as well, and a lot of it is with our Māori and Pasifika communities. So if you're Māori and Pasifika, then you have the right skills and competencies and abilities to be able to best engage with your people and to be able to really understand and contextualize when they talk about the challenges and the barriers they face. You know what those mean, because often you or your whānau or your communities experience those exact same things. So you help us as a firm understand really what their experiences are and make sure that we're really capturing those in the right way and reflecting them in the work that we do. We always want to make sure that we're appropriately engaging with people, that we're hearing about their experience, and that we're really treating what they share with us with care. And your ability to understand and engage with people from Māori and Pasifika backgrounds is really important to enable us to actually achieve that and make sure people feel safe when they contribute. So when you apply to us, don't be shy about your Māori and Pasifika whakapapa. Don't be shy about the experiences you have with your communities and the way that you engage, the way that you give back, whether that's just looking after a massive whānau, whether that's the time that you spend going to church and arranging those activities, whether you're looking after the elderly, the kaumātua and the kuia in your communities. That's really important, and that's a part of who you are and the skills that you can bring to our mahi here at EY.
That's a hard call to follow. But no, if I could build on that, all of that rings very, very true. And I think in following, I think the best piece of advice my koro gave me was, when you go into these things, be yourself truly 100%. Don't compromise who you are for the sake of what you think they want to hear. Be yourself 100%. And if they don't want that, then you didn't want to work there anyway. So it kind of works both ways. So if you do nothing but be yourself, then you've done everything right. And if it's the right place for you, then you'll work out, and that's where you'll end up. But yeah, your value goes so much more beyond these marks that you get at university or any kind of, I guess, traditional metric of what they're looking for in a job applicant. So have faith. Obviously do the mahi, always do the mahi, work hard, but know that that's not your whole that's not all that we're going to be looking at when you come to meet us, and trust that we'll be looking at you in wholeness as well. And I think that's important to remember. So don't worry about that C- you got back in the day. I had a couple of those, and it's all worked out. So yeah.
Same.
And I completely echo everything Renee and George has said, and I would absolutely encourage you. I know it's such a short time frame to have a proper conversation, but I know all three of us are more than happy for you to message us on LinkedIn or reach out to us. I know Renee and George will have a lot of really great advice. I mean, I can help as well. I can help you with your interview prep and stuff like that. But I think, my biggest tip for you, anyone on the call today, is give it a go. Come meet us in person. I think a lot of people have that stigma that A++ students only. It's not that at all. We want to see you as a person. You bring yourself to work every single day, and we want to see what you do in your free time. Is it that you like to spend a lot of time with your family? What is it about you that makes you you? You bring your whole self to work, and so that's the person we want to see on your application. We do only have a couple of minutes, but did anyone have any burning questions for us just while we're here?
If you're a processor, which we have a lot of here at EY, feel free to go back, process, think about it, and then you're more than welcome to flick us a message on LinkedIn, or you can find the graduate recruitment email, I think, online, right, Marion?
Yes, you can. What I might do as well, I'll just drop my email in the chat. nz.ey.com. And I can put you in touch. If you have a question for Renee or George, I can definitely put you in touch with them as well. But yeah, if there's anyone who needs anything, just let us know. But we're always here, we're always open to have a bit of a chat as well.